Hey, I'm so excited to see you again this week on KARENisms. We are going to have some fun. I'm going to tell another personal story, or maybe two. We'll see what happens. And I want to bring in the man behind the curtain, the magical man, Mr. Jace. Jace, how are you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. You got
Okay.
anything fun planned?
Well, everything's doing good on my end. I am just getting ready to change homes again right now. But what I am excited for is I know that you will be having an upcoming webinar. So I think that's people would want to know more about that.
Oh, yeah, the webinar. I am so excited for the webinar. And you and I talked about it. It's about fear because we all have a little bit of fear, and a lot of them is like things like the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And so we have fear of things that are not life threatening. The fear that's life threatening, yeah, you have it and deal with it, but the unnecessary fears, how do we overcome those? What causes those? And that's what this webinar is all about. But do you know what we've decided to do, Jace? I don't think I've told you this yet. We're
What
going
is
to
it?
we're going to have free giveaways throughout the webinar. So people that are
Wow.
on there live, they're going to have free giveaways, random people or answer a question and the first ones to answer. But we're also going to give away for those that sign up free consultation, which normally I charge several $100s for this, but a three free 30-minute consultation to go over what's causing their fear and one quick tip for overcoming it. And so I'm really excited for that. That's going to be a
Me
lot of
too.
fun and
Yeah.
meet some new people and get to know them on a first name basis. But the webinar is Tuesday, the 8th of September, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, because we do everything at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be Tuesday, the 8th, and I'm really excited, and I hope everybody comes. And I know you're going to be there because you're my
Of
man behind
course.
the curtain.
Very, very excited. And I will be anonymous and I will join the giveaways.
There you go. You can do that and put your name right in there and get some of the giveaways. There's some really cool giveaways. I know you're going to love them. So, that being said, I'm really excited for the webinar and I'm really excited for today's show.
Yeah.
Tips, taps, and craps. And I'm not going to talk about messing my pants. So, that has happened and that's a whole nother show. But I'm going to give you a tip and then we'll get started. The tip
Okay.
is never be afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to try something new. And I know you're doing a lot of new things right now and you're just going forward and I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank
But
you.
that is the first tip for this show is never be afraid to try something new. Well, get back into the whole show. I tell you what, we all have things that we've done that we go back and say, I did that. What was I thinking? Well, I want to start off by saying what you were thinking was you can do it. And that's why you did it. And sometimes we do things and we shouldn't have done it. Sometimes we do things that we're shocked that we were able to do it. Well, another tip is from Napoleon Hill. What the human mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. What the human mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. Now, I can testify to this because I conceived something, I believed something, and I achieved something that was really quite valuable to know and a great lesson in my life. And to start the story, many years ago, no, not that many, it's been about, wow, about 10, 11 years ago, um, we were living in Malaysia. And I bought my husband a dive package for his birthday because he'd been diving since he was 10 years old. So at that point, he'd been diving for 50 some odd years. And he hadn't gone diving since we got married. And I really thought, what a great gift to give him a dive package so he can go diving. And he got it and he said, well, I'm not going to go unless you go. And I said, well, I don't even know how to swim. And he says, oh, you'll be just fine. And I says, no, seriously, I can swim from one end of the pool to the other without drowning, but that's it. And he's like, no, no, you'll be fine. Well, I believed him because he knew all about diving and he knew me. And he said I would be fine. So I conceived and believed I would be fine. Well, I took the training class, and anybody who's taken scuba diving, the first several classes are in the classroom, and then you do 4 dives. And we went down in about, oh, I don't know, 15, 20 feet of water, and we did the dives, and the dive master kept looking at me kind of funny, but shrugged. We get up on top. He signs my certificate and says, you are now certified to go scuba diving. So I did my 4 dives, got through, everything was great. Well, Darwin had got us a 17 dive package for Bali to leave a couple of days after we went diving. So, a couple of days later, we fly to Bali. Now, it's been a week since I started learning how to dive. Okay. So we get to Bali and Darwin says, hey, let's get nitrox trained. And that just means that you can stay down longer or even sometimes go a little bit deeper. And I was like, okay. Well, it again is all classroom training. And so we got nitrox trained. So now I'm certified for nitrox. And we do our first dive and we have a dive master. So it's just the two of us and our dive master taking us all around Bali. And the dive master kind of smiles at me, doesn't say anything. And then we go on our second dive, and Darwin starts laughing at me and he says, stop doing this with your arms. Stop dog paddling. Kick your legs normal. And I just went, okay. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to swim. So we're down diving, and because Darwin had been diving for so long, the dive master assumed I was fine, just swam funny. And so he took us on dives I had no right going on. We dived in a shipwreck. We dived in the dark. We dived on all kinds of things. Well, my tip again, what the human mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. I was diving. I knew I'd be fine. Darwin told me I'd be fine. I believed I would be fine. I was fine until Dive Master is swimming along a canyon wall to look for all of the cool things that he can show us. And Darwin, in true nature, he always swims off and never stays with the group. He swam off and he's down taking pictures at the bottom. Some really cool stuff. There were some crabs crawling around and some shrimps. And I'm trying to keep an eye on Darwin and I'm trying to keep an eye on the dive master. And, because I don't want to lose either one of them. And all of a sudden, as I'm looking at Darwin, the dive master came and smacked me really, really hard, or so I thought. So I turned around to see what the dive master wanted, and it was not the dive master. That tap, which was more of a smack, that tap was a grouper. I have to say it right because he groped me. I was a grouper groping me. It was a grouper, and I'm not exaggerating. That thing was 8, 10 feet long. His mouth was giant, and it was going. And I knew I was dead. I knew that fish was going to eat me alive. And they have a little metal wand that you tap your tank and you're trying to get somebody's attention. I'm tapping my tank. The dive master's just looking at the wall and Darwin's just taking pictures and I'm tapping at my tank and I'm trying to get their attention. And they just do their own merry thing, and this thing keeps bumping me and bumping me. And every time its eyes go big and mine just hysterical. And I don't mean funny hysterical. I mean I am in hysterics going, I'm gonna get eaten. Well, finally, the fish just swims off, and I am so relieved. And of course, that's when Darwin comes up and sees me, and that's when the dive master turns around. And so I tell the dive master about it, and he went, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's just the groupers. The local fishermen bring down baggies of food for him, so he was just asking you where his lunch was." Oh, local fishermen, you're bringing down food to a big fish that my husband, bless his heart, as we got back to the room that night, decided to show me a video on YouTube of a grouper jumping out of the water, taking a shark off a hook that was being caught in Florida. Oh, that was not funny. So I got groped by a grouper, but I was fine. Well, we continue our dives, and oh, it was beautiful. We saw so many wonderful things, and I am so grateful that I did the tip that I gave to Jace earlier. We never be afraid to try something new, because I was trying something new and I saw some of the most beautiful and stunning things ever. Well, as we continue to go, it's our second to the last dive. So it's the 15th dive of the package. My 19th dive in just, a week and a half. So it's my 19th dive, and we're swimming and we get caught in a current. And I cannot get through that current. So Darwin grabs me, or I held on to him, and he pulls me through the current. And we get up on top on the boat, and he says, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "I don't know how to swim." And he went, "What? I thought you were just being modest." Yeah, I shouldn't have screamed like that. He said, "I thought you were just being modest." And I said, "No. Why would I be modest about that?" He says, "Well, you said you could swim in the pool." I said, "I can coast from one end of the pool to the other. The pool, I'm not going to drown because it's not deep enough." And he went, "Oh, so you really don't know how to swim?" And I said, "Really don't know how to swim." Well, at this point, I've already done 19 dives. I might as well do the last two. So I did the last two dives. And the last two dives were absolutely beautiful. We saw turtles, we saw barracudas, we saw, oh, some of the most beautiful fish ever. And the coral reefs, and there were uh, just this cemetery, they call them the cemetery of statues that they make coral reefs out of for the fish. And it was stunning. Well, I wasn't afraid to try something new, but the human mind conceived I'd be okay. I believed I'd be okay. And guess what? I was okay. Now, we did spend the next month or so after we got back home learning how to swim in the pool. But of course, I learned how to swim with fins on. To this day, I cannot swim without fins. But with the fins, I'm great. In fact, I've gone on since then to get my open water certificate, my night certificate, my shipwreck certificate. So I I am good at scuba diving. I can scuba dive pretty much anywhere, anytime, any place I want to go. So I was not afraid to try something new. Well, that's not my fear. Some people have the fear of embarrassment. Some people have the fear of failure. Now, my fear could have been of failure. or it could have been of drowning. And that would have been a legitimate fear because if I had thought I was going to drown, chances are good I'd have done something stupid and I would have. Now, this is not to say go out and go skydiving without a parachute because that's just not smart. But go skydiving, tandem skydive with parachutes with the instructor that knows what they're doing. I did that for my 59th birthday because I wanted to go skydiving when I turned 50, but I went hot air balloon ride instead. But I wanted to go skydiving in my 50s. So for my 59th birthday, we went skydiving and it was amazing. If you haven't gone skydiving, I strongly suggest you do it. Tandem dive. I had the best tandem dive master, whatever you want to call him, expert. And he's like, "Are you scared?" I'm like, "No, I want to go first." And I learned from scuba diving that I can do anything. I am invincible as long as I learn enough about it that I have some knowledge of what to expect. Well, I had learned enough in classroom and in my 4 dives to know what to expect for diving. I didn't know about the current, but that's why you never go diving alone. You always have somebody with you. Well, skydiving, I did some studies on it and I knew you tandem dived and I was excited. And I said, "No, no, I'm excited. I want to go first." And he said, "You want to go first?" I said, "Yeah, I want to go first." So sure enough, we went first and he was so fun because I told him how excited I was, and I said, "I wanna do all the fun stuff." So, bless his heart, he jumps out and he did a few flips and a few twists, and we just it was beautiful. Had a lot of fun. Okay? So, trying something new, that's not a problem for me. However, embarrassment is a problem for me because I do things to embarrass myself all the time. So there is another tip. If you were going to laugh at someone else, if it happens to them, then if it happens to you, you should laugh at yourself. I am going to share my most embarrassing, and I mean my most embarrassing moment. And if you are easily offended, you may want to tune out for this, but it is something that if I saw it happen to somebody else, I'd be embarrassed for them, but I'll be honest, I probably would have laughed. And my most embarrassing moment, and I told Jace I wasn't going to talk about this, but I am instead because I have time and I want to because I promised my daughter I would tell this and be humiliated like she was. So, we are in St. Croix, my daughter and I. We're on a contract and working together, and we had the afternoon off. And so we decided to go snorkeling, not diving, but snorkeling. And they had all of these bottles of water, and I drink a lot of water. I drink and drink and drink and get me another drink right now. I drink tons and tons of water. I have chronic dry throat, and so I'm always thirsty. Well, I chugged down, I don't know, 4 or 5 bottles of this water. And we went scuba diving, saw really cool stuff. And then we got back to shore, and I have my bathing suit on, and I have a sarong wrapped around my waist. And we are staying in a hotel that's about 2 blocks, well, 2.5 blocks from the pier. And you have to walk through an open market to get to the hotel. And then to get into our room, you go up a stairs on the outside and across an outdoor patio, and then on the hallway that's outdoors, and then into your room. Well, we're walking, and we'd gone just over a block through this open shopping center when my stomach started to gurgle. Okay, I see Jace covering his mouth, going, "Oh my gosh, please tell me this is not true." I suddenly realized that that was local water and not freshly bottled water from, a distillery or some place that bottles fresh water. It was local water. And anyone who travels to countries that are not necessarily top of the class countries, you don't drink the local water, period. Your body is not accustomed to it. I have been in Ecuador for 3 years and I still don't drink the local water. Okay. St. Croix, you do not drink the local water. I drank the local water. And not only did I drink it, but I had 4 or 5 bottles of it. Well, my stomach starts to gurgle. And all of a sudden, I passed gas, or so I thought. And it wasn't gas. And I am closer to the hotel than I am the pier, but I am in the middle of a shopping plaza. Outdoor shopping plaza, granted, but a shopping plaza. And all of a sudden, you know what starts crawling down my legs, actually running quickly. So I've got my sarong, I pull it up between my legs like a diaper, and my stomach gurgled, and I, well, the show's name is Tips, Taps, and Craps. I craps all across that shopping center. And my mom says to me, "Why didn't you go back to the pier and jump in the water?" Because I was closer to the hotel room. And I knew that once I got to my room, I didn't have to be seen again. So I walk across this plaza as quickly as I possibly can. My daughter is walking next to me, getting further and further away, trying not to laugh her guts out, and at the same time being horrified because she is with her mother, who is now defecating all over this shopping plaza, not by choice, purely accidentally. We go up the back stairs, all across the patio. I made her go out and hose him down for me. Went into the room, stood in the shower, fully dressed, and showered. Well, long story shorter, I threw away everything I had on. It was a mess, no pun intended. But the lesson that I learned was that it wasn't the end of the world. I would not die of embarrassment. I thought I would, but I would not die of embarrassment. And actually, as I went back through that plaza the next day, because I had no choice, we had to go through the plaza to get to work. As I went through that plaza, nobody stopped and pointed. And I doubt people were looking at my face. They were more looking at what was happening. But if they did look at my face, they were more embarrassed for me, and they thought it was funny or disgusting. Um, but they probably were more embarrassed for me than even I was, and I was horrified with how embarrassed I was. I can tell you story after story after story of times that I've humiliated myself in public. I can't think of anything more humiliating than this, but I lived. So that's another tip. You will not die of embarrassment. So, tip, always try something new. Tip, what the human mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. Tip, you will not die of embarrassment. Bigger tip, do not drink the local water in the Caribbean, on islands, on third world countries, anywhere that you're not familiar with them. Don't drink the local water. That being said, I hope you haven't lost all faith and respect for me because I did something so horrible. But it was purely accidental, and I blame it totally on the water. But I just want you to know that You can survive anything. Time heals all wounds. You can survive anything. Try something new. You'll always be able to look back at it and say there was a lesson in that, or you can laugh at it. All of those people who wondered who that lady was now through the Caribbean, if you watch this, yes, it was me. Um, and I did my best to make amends for what I did, but I had no control over it. My stomach gurgled and it went. All right, now that I've embarrassed myself thoroughly, Jace, are you laughing really hard? I can see you laughing, going, "You did what?"
I was like, oh, my camera was on. She can't see me.
I can see in the back room. Uh, have you ever had anything embarrassing happen to you?
Well, if we will go with the story. I had so many things that my stomach did to me when I was a kid, but I think one of the things that I've always never told anyone was also about the diving. And um nobody knows that I cannot like swim if I know that that pool or that shore was deeper than how tall I am. I am 5'11", so for most pools here in the Philippines, I am good. But there was this time that I went swimming with my family on the beach, and it was high tide. So there was a place where everyone can dive in because it's high tide, and everyone was expecting that I will be taller than how deep that area was. So I tried to swim in it, and I was proud, and I was starting to jump because everyone's watching me and everyone's rooting for me. But then when I jump, I cannot reach the bottom of that space. I cannot at all. And I forgot to breathe in air. So I cannot like rise easily. And I my smaller cousin helped me because he's the one who knows how to swim. And I was like, I will never dive on that area again.
Tip, wear fins. It's really easy to swim with fins. Really easy. Oh, bless your heart. Yep, yep. And
That was bad.
that was scary and funny. Sorry,
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but
I mean,
I,
I'm laughing, so
we had two guys. They were from England, and my dad picked. This is 100 years ago. Okay, not 100, but probably ooh 50 years ago. Back when you could pick up hitchhikers and it was safe. But he picked up these two hitchhikers from England, and we lived by the Great Salt Lake in Utah. And that lake at the time had so much salt in it, you floated. And you couldn't help but float. You walk out as far as you want, your feet are not touching the ground, and you are floating. And so we take these two guys to the Great Salt Lake so they can experience the lake. And they didn't comprehend because they lived by the ocean. You can dive in the salt water in the ocean. And in their mind, this was like the ocean. No, you could put a wire hanger into the water, wait 10 minutes, and have it crystallized. Okay. This was salt water, not, okay. It was just salt with a little bit of water in it. Well, one of the poor guys went diving into the water. He came up coughing and spitting and sputtering. It got in his eyes and up his nose and in his throat. And, he was fine, but it was like, oh, don't do that. But then afterwards, he and his buddy were laughing about it, so I felt better about laughing because I wanted to laugh when he did it and go, "Are you stupid?" But he didn't know any better, and so
Yeah.
he wasn't stupid. But we do those things, and you know what? If I were to meet those two guys today, if I were to meet them 2 weeks later, I wouldn't have remembered what they looked like. And if I were to meet them today, I'd still have no clue. And so with you, your family remembers it's you, but they
Yeah.
probably don't think about that all the time. But a lot of the embarrassing things we have happen, it's funny. And you just
It
laugh
is.
at it. Just laugh at it. And if you can laugh at yourself, you can laugh at anything. And it
Yeah.
makes your life a whole lot better and a whole lot easier. So I'm glad you shared your embarrassing story that you'd never shared before because now you have.
Of course. now, now everyone knows about it.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take yours over mine any day.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, no doubt. Well, now that I've humiliated myself and shared that I can swim even without knowing how to swim, I've proven you can dive without knowing how to swim. You just got to wear fins. Um, just wear fins. I want to remind everybody about the webinar. It's Tuesday, September 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And remind you to tune in every Monday to KARENisms. And that again is 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And on Wednesdays, we've got some great guests coming up on Wednesdays. Power Surge, Empowering Journeys with Dr. K. And this is where we go over stories that will transform your life and help you with everything that you do. And I am really excited about this webinar. I'm going back to it, and I'm excited about the free giveaways. And I'm especially excited about you signing up and getting a free consultation. We'll put in the comments below the link that you can go to sign up. And I am so excited for you, and I'm so embarrassed for me. And go ahead and laugh at me all you want because I know I will not die of embarrassment, though I will be horrified and embarrassed and mortified. That being said, ciao for now. See you later.